looks like a good height. So I want to start with a question. Has anybody here changed their name for a reason other than marriage?
Witchcraft, she said.
First name, witchcraft? Okay, that's good enough. The reason I'm asking, because I've always wondered, does a name change who you are? How does it change how you see yourself? As Shakespeare wrote in Romeo and Juliet, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Is that true, or does a new name alter who you are and how the world sees you? Are you still as sweet when you're called Rutabaga rather than Rose? For most of us, name changes happen when our ancestors moved to the United States. So names that would have been horrible tongue twisters in English would be easy to pronounce. For example, my father's father was born in Ukraine in 1899 and moved to the United States. His name was originally Hymenik, which Schlevner being Russian for silver hair, so I'm told. After his family had moved, he became Isidore Wallace, and then later on as an adult, he became Edwin Wallach. He swapped the English Wallace for the Jewish Wallach. He presented himself as a new man to a new world. So sometimes name changes or nicknames are taken for matters of practicality. When I was growing up in Mission, Texas, I knew a family of about 10 kids. All the boys were named Jose, and all the girls were named Maria. Obviously, that would be very confusing. So they all went by their middle names. So I knew one of them as Guadalupe, or Lupita, and another as Luisa. That made everything very simple. Now, if you're a fan of hip-hop music, you may not even know the performers' real names. Snoop Dogg, The Weeknd, Eminem. Which one is Calvin Broadus? Snoop Dogg. So I wonder, what are their mothers called them? Every now and then, their real names actually come into play, and I'm thinking of the singer known as Tekashi 6ix9ine, otherwise known now as Daniel Hernandez, thanks to his jail sentence for racketeering and gun charges. I doubt Tekashi 6ix9ine shows up on many of his prison documents. Now, women writers have for centuries used pen names to get their works published. Even the most talented face terrible hardships in terms of getting their name out there. So here's one example, and some of you may identify with it. In 1836, the 20-year-old writer Charlotte Bronte sent some of her poems to England's poet laureate, Robert Southey. He wrote back, "Literature cannot be the business of a woman's life, and it ought not to be. The more she is engaged in her proper duties, whatever those are, the less leisure she will have for it, even as an accomplishment and a recreation." So women dealt with these issues by adopting pen names. Louisa May Alcott, who is very much in the news these days with Little Women, used the name A.M. Brannard for her early Gothic thrillers. The name let her write about unladylike topics. So finally there's me. I have an odd name, Van, being short for Van Wall. It's an English race car from the 50s. Since my father was a car obsessive, he gave my brother and me car-related names. My brother in Texas is Cooper. My middle name is Tazio, after an Italian race car driver, so you can call me Taz. But if I were a girl, I would have been named Jaguar. So can you imagine growing up with the name Jaguar? If you're a girl, like, you go girl, So it would have been quite a challenge. So I did think about changing my first name, but I never did, inertia or lack of motivation. But now I'm reading that the name Van is actually a cool, hip name, kind of like Milo and Otis. So I thought, imagine that. All I had to do was wait about 60 years, and what seemed freakish became fashionable. So in a rebellion against weird names, my brother Cooper and I went hardcore traditional, reflecting our own life interests. My son is Samuel Selig, which is about as shtetl sounding as you can get. Cooper named his sons Travis and Tyler, which are real Lone Star names, straight out of The Last Picture Show. Finally, I did actually get to select a name for myself. My parents never gave me a Hebrew name, which a lot of Jewish babies get. As an adult, I actually gave myself a Hebrew name. I picked myself that fits my personality. Ze'ev, which means wolf in Hebrew. It's short and punchy like Van, and I've often wondered, does a new name lead to a new attitude? And I'm going to say, yes, it does. When I'm Zev, the world looks a little different, and maybe I look a little different to the world too. I look less like a Van and more like a wolf. Maybe I'll put the name change on my bucket list. Thank you.